OBS decided to switch my input method from my microphone to, I don't know, literally it said input device doesn't exist. So I captured 3 hours, possibly more, of footage of this build, and didn't get any of it with audio. Not a single second has an audio track. So that's awesome. So I'm just going to have to dub over it, but I mean, it's not going to be the first Sims build you've seen dubbed, and maybe it's for the best, given it was a 3-hour long video. Probably going to forward wind it, so you don't have to deal with that. Okay, on to the video, shall we? So I dilly-dallied and shilly-shallied on what location I was going to pick, and eventually I decided on to do the build in Forgotten Hollow. I'm pretty sure the new game pack, we know it's a game pack. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been announced yet as of recording this dub, but it's like half an hour away that they said tomorrow yesterday, so at some point today. So I decided on Forgotten Hollow, but this build will probably fit perfectly fine in the new area that they're adding, because it's like a woodsy mid to northwest America forests area. That's why I picked Forgotten Hollow in the first place. And that's probably why it'll fit just fine in the new area, because I guarantee they're basically sister locations. So here I am making sure I'm getting the really key important parts of a Denny'S build out. I'm putting down the parking lot. I'm also using a couple of references. So I needed a layout reference, and I needed a front sort of entrance reference. So I'll put both of those into the video as this is happening. I'm putting it as a 3-tile high, just so I've got a little bit of maneuverability in regards to the windows. I do use a set of windows in the corner, so I am going to put this on the gallery. But not yet. I want to go in and change a couple of things. So there's a couple of things I need to change, because I've had some discussions with some friends. It's like, does this look like a Denny'S? And they're all like, oh, blah, blah, here, there's a few things that like Denny'S would have instead. And I was like, okay, cool. So the couple of things that I need to change are obviously those windows, because I've used the windows from Get to Work that are only one-sided, because they were the perfect fit for the space that I needed them to be, and then I realised, oh, you can't actually see out of them. The other thing I need to change is at the front windows, I've just got regular dining seats, and they need to be booths. So I'm going to change them over to booths. I can't, obviously you can't hear me speaking in this video, but I use one piece of CC throughout this build, and it's multiple pieces of CC, but it's one pack of custom content. And it's called the Greasy Goods stuff pack. I'll have a link up top, and I'll also have a link in the description. So the Greasy Goods stuff pack is basically like a build your own McDonald's style pack. Comes with everything you pretty much need. Comes with burgers, fries, all those sorts of things. I spend a little bit of time in this video looking for... Here I am putting in cheats, because I forgot to do that earlier. I needed the live edit, especially for the cars. So I'm putting this in just for the sake of trying to find the items that I need. I'm also not I don't do a lot of Sims building. I do some inside my own builds, but I don't do a lot of it. So that's the reason that you'll see me kind of flounder around in the menus for a little bit. The key thing here is I'm looking for a trim that I can put on myself. So Denny's locations usually have like a red trim. Well, from the one side I saw, I have a red trim going along the outside but it's lower down than well the walls are on this build. So I was like, okay, so if I want to have the same effect that they're going for in the Denny'S, I need to change it around. So that's what I've done here. Like I said, I will be replacing those windows because you actually can't see from the inside out. The other thing I do need to note is that with, like, obviously this video is a little bit on the dark side. The reason for that is because my Forgotten Hollow is modded. I'm using a mod by Twisted Mexi, which makes Forgotten Hollow dark all the time. And it's not just like it looks dark, it's modded both ways, that it looks dark and it is considered nighttime at all times in Forgotten Hollow. Because I've been dealing with this lately. I've got a couple of vampire characters. I always play with vampires, that's why I'm very excited for this new pack. And I've got a couple of vampire characters who will just walk out right into the middle of the day. So like they'll get a request from the system that's like, oh, the cow is dirty, because they're currently living on a farm in Henford or Bagley. And it's like, oh, the cow is dirty. So they go, oh yeah, sure, I'm just going to walk outside and I'm going to clean the cow in broad daylight. So I had to build this absolutely fugly roof over the back garden because it's one of the ones that like come pre-built. I think it comes vacant. So it's one of the ones that comes vacant and I turned on free real estate, blah, 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 blah. So I moved a family in there, I had a couple of vampires, and I've had to build this fugly roof, just a roof. I didn't even make it a proper pergola, it's just a roof over the area that has the cows and the chickens out the back, and it goes from where the cows is all the way to the bin, because the thing that they were doing autonomously was going out to the cowshed, cleaning the cowshed, and going and putting the rubbish down next to the bin. I've had to uproot like 4 different trash plants. So yeah, I had to... Sims are dumb. So that's why Forgotten Hollow was always nighttime, because if it wasn't, you'd have vampires just walk out in the middle of the day to do random crap. And I used to play in Forgotten Hollow on a different save. I had the whole family. They were living in an apartment, then they moved to Forgotten Hollow because, again, I had a vampire family. But yeah, so that's the reason my Forgotten Hollow is modded. So at the moment, I'm currently working on the basics of the Denny'S building. So in the reference image, I'll show you the reference image that I was working on. So as you can see, there's a little front bar, then there's a workers counter, then there's a set of counters behind that, and behind that is the window that goes into the main kitchens. So at the moment I'm working on the front bar and establishing how I'm going to do like the window that looks into the kitchens. Now there is, yes, so this is the oven that can cut into the wall. So this pissed me off for a little while. So this got me, and eventually it works. Eventually it resolves itself. So you can get a little bit angry on my behalf on the fact that it was taking so long for it to decide to do that, and I just kind of decided to move on for a bit. But basically what happened is that particular stove should be able to cut into the wall on either side. There's no reason it shouldn't be able to go to the other side. It's just sometimes the Sims is a bit finicky like that. So, and it wouldn't let me turn. I've got move objects and everything else on already. So I just left it, decided to come back later. Here's me fucking around with auto counters / not with auto counters, just to try and get this sort of... the idea that I'm thinking of with these counters is that you'd obviously have people who'd come and sit around at the bar, but then you'd also have people who are just coming in for the sake of grabbing a coffee or getting some pancakes and just vamoosing once that's done. So I have like a serving bar, like you see them in Starbucks, where you have the counters where you like order, and they're right next to the patisserie, because the patisserie is the first thing that you see you stand in front of the patisserie while you're in line, and that's intended so you pick up something out of that fridge. It's all very careful mental marketing. So with that, here I've picked the wrong thing. I'm actually looking for the barista bar, the thing that actually goes in cafes. Here I've just picked out the cafeteria thing. I'll fix it in a minute. And here I'm discovering that there's some fun stuff regarding Dine Out, one of the most broken packs. So yeah, so basically I wanted to have it like, it's one of those places where you can come in, grab your coffee and leave, or you can dine in and, you know, have your breakfast and everything else. So here I am just making sure that, I mean, this is the central part of the restaurant, is the kitchens and the main dining set of where people are going to be. This location will work as a regular restaurant. All of the kitchen stuff is accessible. These front counters, so at the moment they don't work, but they will work later because I go back and fix it. There are a couple of the booths that probably won't work correctly. I'm not thinking that they're going to work correctly. Mainly the group of them that are in the front, you might have some Sims having routing errors, but there's enough seating in the building that you're probably not going to have problems. Especially that like there's enough accessible seating. If you do want to play this without the Greasy Goods CC pack, most of the seating won't be there. A couple of the seats will be, but the tables I use from the Greasy Goods. All of the toilets are from Greasy Goods. They also, like, they come with urinals and that sort of thing, so it's like a restaurant. A lot of the decor is just base game, except for the stuff that's like really specifically fast food restaurant. I know Denny'S is well known for their pancakes, but I did look, so Sims Resource has a decorative pancake set that I was looking at, because I knew I was making this build. Sorry, it's a bit late, and I've had to go off energy drinks because they've decided to start making me sleepy instead of perking me up. So with Greasy Goods, God, I've just lost my entire frame of mind. It's all good. It should be fine. You will need Greasy Goods to make the most of this build, because as you can see here, there's a fry warmer, there's a deep fryer, there's a burger making stand included. There's actual burgers, nuggets, all of those sorts of things that you'd sort of expect from a place that's, you know, especially one that's working 24 hours. So we don't really have much in the way of 24-hour stuff here in Australia. The only thing really is 7-Eleven and McDonald's, which sucks for me because I work afternoon shift. And my day job, as they call it, my day job is an afternoon shift. But in terms of what do I do after that afternoon shift, usually I will be sitting down and doing another couple of hours of art, game dev, writing, all that sort of stuff until about 4 o'clock in the morning. So like I'm working basically a graveyard shift. So things being open a little bit later would be fantastic. Here I'm being subjected to Sims 4's sucky bullshit. Where the lighting doesn't look right, even though they're all exactly the same color. They're all the same color tone. I did not change the color tone between them. So here I'm setting up the booths based on the reference that I've got. There's a half wall between them. This is where I'm thinking that the routing errors are going to occur, because I was like, I'm sure there was a shorter seat, and based on what I saw in the catalogue, no, there is not a shorter seat. But they look correct. It's just, can Sims use them? Questionable. But perhaps. So, I do wonder I'm sure there are people who like see this video and go, I know exactly what that's referring to, but there are a few people who will look at this and go, I don't understand what Denny's has to do with werewolves at all. I advise you to do your own research. I am not the arbiter of all things Denny's and werewolves. I might be an occult specialist, but there are certain things I am not at liberty to discuss. I have made sure that there is a bathroom, and I have made sure there is a car park. So, I mean, do with it as you will. It's ready for your nights of debauchery. So here I'm setting up a couple of long tables with some chairs. And the reason I'm doing this is because when I think of these sorts of places, and I mentioned this in the original recording, but unfortunately the audio is gone. But when I think of Denny's, the closest place that I'm approximating it to in Australia, where I live, is either a place called Lazy Mo's or a place called La Porchetta. And I know that's an Italian restaurant and a place that has a very questionable name. But I'm thinking of those sorts of diner style restaurants that you sort of go in for a children's birthday party and it's got enough room for everybody, and the food's kind of cheap and the servings are huge, but like it doesn't taste that great. The pasta is overcooked or the burger's sloppy or something like that, and you're just like, I am either here for a children's party and I just do not care, or it is 5 o'clock in the morning, I have not eaten in 24 hours, and I do not care. So those are the birthday party. Like I said, so those are the birthday tables, but like I said, I'm going to replace those booths. The other thing I am going to be doing when I jump back in to fix the couple of things is adding some TVs. I'll be adding a TV in the waiting area, possibly above the door. Adding a TV above, so that set of counters in the corner is like a condiments bar. So I'll be adding TV there, and I'll be adding a TV probably on the walls that lead out to the arches. I'll just turn moving objects on, they'll be able to use it. So I'll put a TV there. I know that usually in restaurants like these, they have more corridors to the toilets. They're not just directly facing out onto the restaurant these days. But it's The Sims, there's no such thing as germs. Unless you have it modded, but even then it doesn't work the same way. So yeah, so now I've put in the wallpapers and the floorboards. Again, the wallpapers that I'm using, so all the custom content that is in this build is from Greasy Goods. If you install Greasy Goods and you have the expansion packs that are listed as part of this build, you'll be able to use it just fine. But I felt like Greasy Goods was kind of critical to getting the vibe of a restaurant correct. A couple of people said this looked like a McDonald's, and I'm not quite sure what kind of McDonald's America has, but it doesn't look like a McDonald's in Australia. So I put these like this just for the sake of having both different kinds of boards. The idea is that maybe it's sort of starting to move into the modern era. The kiosks I'll probably delete, but I like the concept of kiosks personally because it means I don't have to talk to people. I do enough talking to people, honestly. So here I'm doing something maybe seem very odd, but those non-slip mats that are in the kitchen, most hospitality places will have them, and that's why I put them in there. Like it's in a Sims 4 build, you don't really think about it, but I did work in a couple of kitchens, a couple of cafes and that sort of thing, so it was something that I sort of looked at and was like, yeah, this makes sense for this to be here, so I stuck them in. I did also, if you have a look at the back, you can see that I've put in these big tall windows and arches out the back, out to sort of open air that area with the tables. That's because I want it to be sort of like an implied open air dining, but it's not really. I ended up fiddling with this for a little bit because it's really hard to get these sort of like in correct position. So these are meant to look like the breakfast, lunch, dinner, late night signs that sit over the front of the Denny'S, over the Denny'S counters. And like they look fine once I've actually got them in. They look like as they're intended. Here I'm putting down some napkins and some extra decorations. Putting out some street lights. I put the little saucer lights in these eventually. I'm looking for cars here. I'm making car parks. So like I said, your car park, you do have a car park here. It is directly tied onto the main strip of Forgotten Hollow because obviously up until Henford on Bagley, and I think so San Myshuno has them as well, but Forgotten Hollow was early enough that it doesn't actually have roads. I think like Forgotten Hollow doesn't have roads. There you go. That's the basic thing, is that Forgotten Hollow doesn't have roads. So Forgotten Hollow doesn't have roads, so you have to, even though it's there, there's really no way that a car would get there. So maybe it'll actually look better in the werewolf world. But yeah, the build is sort of like just unfolding itself. It's got that kind of skeevy, scummy wallpaper on there. It's a bit tacky, it's a bit outdated. Bit old dinery. Some photos and postcards of people who have come and visited before and those sorts of things. So yeah, I've also made sure there's dumpsters out the back so you can in them. And then I put a doorway to make sure that you can get out there. The other thing to keep in mind is this build works as you would think. It works, like I said, it works as a restaurant. Everything should be accessible, but it is mostly designed for Forgotten Hollow, so like I put a couple of trees in here. You'll want to, if they add trees with the werewolf pack, you'll want to switch them up to make sure they match. Obviously there's no actual Denny'S sign or anything that's even remotely close, so the stuff that I put up there is as close as I'm gonna get. All the signage in here, including the stuff from Greasy Goods, is in Simlish. I don't build with, and I don't intend to build with stuff that doesn't have Simlish. I think it kind of crosses the line between worlds too much for me. I like the idea that Simlish is Simlish. It keeps it like a fake reality and all that sort of stuff. It's like it's not a real world, and you can do whatever you want. So yeah, there's a couple of, obviously you're going to need dine out for this restaurant. You'll need the Greasy Goods expansion, the Greasy Goods stuff pack, custom stuff pack. You will need, I would say vampires would be recommended. I don't think there's that much in here that's from vampires. Most of the decor stuff I was looking at was kind of like, okay, I'll grab most of the stuff from Dine Out, try and keep it from there. I know I definitely used Laundry Day. I think some of the cars might be from Cottage Living, but I'm not sure. You shouldn't need too many packs for this because obviously I've tried to keep in one line of packs and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for a werewolf pack. The Sims, the Vampires pack that we have received is one of the best game packs we've ever received from Sims. I've been playing Sims since Sims 1. I mostly played Sims 2 and I kind of missed the Sims 3 era because I just didn't have a computer that could handle it. But I do own all of it now. And Sims, the way Sims 4 Vampires was handled, I mean, it's one of the best game packs, in my opinion, that exists for Sims 4 because it's just so comprehensive. It's got so much gameplay involved. It came with its own little world. It had all these aspirations. It's still, it has a really dramatic effect on gameplay, and there are a couple of things that like I have to navigate around. Like at the moment I've got a vampires can kill mod in my game, and if your vampire gets really pissed off, they'll go and attack someone. And I've got a couple of things that like a hormonal buff that will just put a sim directly into very angry / furious. And if they go into that, I have to go and put them into hibernation until that buff wears off, because otherwise they're going to kill my sims. And it adds a bit of challenge, adds a bit of interest, a bit of interesting dynamics. Keeps me on my toes. I like that kind of thing. I don't like it when it's bugs that are to keep me on my toes, so it's cool. I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out for The Sims 4 Werewolves that's going to be really interesting. So yeah, I've set up the menu, it's all good tasty food, and yeah, that's pretty much the build. I'll also add some screenshots after this of the build once I've finished reviewing it, and I will have it up on the gallery by the time this video is uploaded. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the flip side. Ciao for now, bye bye!